The diabolical stop and frisk is the topic at hand. You guys that watch my show, you know that I'm retired from the NYPD. For those who don't, I turned into a sports writer and then started my own media company in 2008. So I have experience in that side of things as far as police work is concerned. And I have a theory why, and it's a proven theory, why stop and frisk has a higher amount of black and Hispanic people as opposed to white, Asian, Indian, whatever. Any other of the races that you can think of. And it's quite simple. Basically, in the neighborhoods where black and Hispanic people reside, obviously more people are going to be stopped in those areas, those precincts. And I worked in many of them starting in 1987 in Bedford-Stuyvesant. So you're going to have areas that there's a lot of black people, a lot of Spanish people, a lot of white people, a lot of Chinese people. Depends on whatever assignment you have. So obviously, if you work in an area with a lot of black people, most of your stop and frisk reports are going to be for black people. It makes fucking sense, okay? And vice versa if you work in the white neighborhood. But why is there so many more people stopped in those areas and for those type of people? And here is my theory, and like I said, it is factual. It is not it's not a guess. You could look it up. The numbers speak for themselves, okay? There are three elements that stick out. These areas usually have a higher rate of crime, and that's not saying anything that's not public record. You can look on NYPD stats all over the internet. You'll see the crime's up, crime's down, and they'll tell you the areas where they are. So usually in the areas in the precincts, now 7-9, 7-7, 6-7, these are all areas that I worked in. It's going to be a little more crime going on than maybe like in the, the 6-8 precinct in Bay Ridge, where you're going to mostly have a lot of fights because there's bars there, drunk driving, same reason. But you're not going to have as many violent crimes, okay? That's just a fact. Why? You can draw your own conclusions. I have my theories, but that's not the topic right now of why there's crimes in those areas. We know there are because of the statistics speak for themselves. Secondly, there's a higher rate of unemployment in those areas. Donald Trump keeps pointing out, I have the lowest black and Hispanic and Asian and all this unemployment. So those are, again, raw numbers that you can't say racist and you can't say wrong. These are numbers. There's a higher rate of employment in those areas, and those just happen to be the same areas where there's a higher rate of crime. Now, people say, well, they can't get a job, so they're poor and they have to steal. I don't buy that shit, but whatever. Just as long as we're on the same page so far. There is a higher rate of unemployment, which means people are hanging around more in the street. And what's going to happen when they're doing that? Things usually happen. They get into trouble. They do certain things. People dial 911. 9 out of 10 times when the cop throws somebody up against the wall, it was a result of a radio run. And most of the time, it's an anonymous radio run. Male black on the corner with a gun, or male black on the corner selling drugs. 5'8", black shirt, 20s, click. They hang up. It's a bullshit call. A lot of reasons why those bullshit calls come in, but the cops that respond, they pull up to the corner. There's usually somebody that meets the description over there because it's a very general description. It's not saying this guy has a shirt that says MSM gray and he's got a beard that the dye is wearing off and it's turning gray again and he's 5'9" and stuff. It's very general description. So that's why you get thrown up against the wall if you happen to meet that. And it could be 5 years that meet the description. So you're all up against the wall. Guess what? Everybody goes when the whistle blows type of thing. So again, the unemployment, double-headed monster, makes people commit more crimes and more people just hanging around and they're in the streets instead of, 9 to 5 in Midtown somewhere. And now I'm driving my police car in East Flatbush or Brownsville. And guess what? Instead of being in Manhattan, he's on the corner, on Buffalo Avenue. Okay. Third one, there's a higher population in these areas, and there's a simple reason for that. Most of the time, many of these places include public housing projects. And if any of you have never had the pleasure of doing a vertical patrol, which became infamous with that Chinese officer in the 7-3 precinct, which bordered my precinct, so I'm very familiar with those projects, the pink houses and those places. Vertical patrol going up and down the stairs there with the sliding on the piss puddles all over the place. There's a lot of people that live in these projects. Obviously, they're high rises, okay? And then also there's a lot of SROs, and you're like, what the fuck's an SRO? Single room occupancy. So basically, I have one apartment on the second floor, but I made 4 apartments out of it, and they all share the same bathroom. I just put walls in between, and every one of those things, they share the kitchen and the bathroom, and I charge each of them a separate rent. No, it's not legal, but we're talking about illegal apartments and stuff like that. We're not talking about somewhere where you go to a real estate agent saying, I'm looking for an apartment. Oh, okay, let's see what they got listing. What's your price range there, Johnny? We're talking about fucking people that snuck over the border, people that overstayed their visas, and they gotta sleep wherever they gotta sleep. All right, so they get sometimes whatever, it could be even $100 a month that they have this SRO. Because the first time when I was a rookie, when I walked into one, I was like, what the fuck is this? It was like a fucking maze. Okay, so those was the 3 reasons why unemployment rate's higher, population's higher, and the crime is higher. So that is going to give you more numbers as opposed, with black and Hispanic people as opposed to white and the Chinese and the Pakistani or whatever the case may be. So nothing has changed since the fucking 80s when I did this shit. Things have just gotten worse because the cops have been emasculated by the mayor and the hierarchies and the Democrats and all of that stuff, where we used to be able to go and clean it up. I started under Mayor Koch, okay, and I finished under I went from Koch to Dinkins to Rudy Giuliani, who we fucking loved as a mayor, but he didn't give us big raises, but at least he backed us up. And then who the fuck was the mayor after? Oh, Bloomberg. I retired under little Mikey Bloomberg. So I've dealt with Democrat and Republican mayors, all different types of police commissioners throughout my career that I did. Like I said, I retired as a sergeant. I did 11 years as a detective, undercover narcotics. Hey, listen, I got thrown up against the wall many times by uniformed cops who did not know that I was one of their own. In the Lower East Side, in the projects, buying heroin. They thought I was a bad guy, and for all intents and purposes, I was. And that's going to be the subject of another episode of USA, and I will explain to you how this white boy was thrown up against the wall many times because I was a bad guy. I was pretending to be a bad guy. So if you're out there fucking buying drugs and you get thrown up against the wall, don't blame the fucking cop. You fucked up, bro.